What's up, Titans, and welcome. My name is Josh Mitchell, and I am your ASI Student Body President for the upcoming 2021-2022 academic year. I'm super excited and grateful to host a special Fall 2021 Student Reentry webinar. I'm also beyond happy to know we'll be back on campus soon. I cannot wait to go to the SRC again. Today's webinar will break down Cal State Fullerton's plans for reentry onto campus after roughly 17 months away from campus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. We also have some special guests joining us today, including Dr. Tonantzin Oseguera, the Vice President for Student Affairs, Dr. Carolyn Thomas, the Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Dr. Vincent Vigil, the Associate Vice President for Student Affairs and Dean of Students, and Dr. Mary Becerra, the Director of Student Wellness and Health Services. Also with us right now is the amazing Mary Chammas, your ASI Board Chair, and I'll turn it over to her now.
Thank you, Josh. Just like you, I'm super appreciative of this opportunity to be here with you all today to represent the student body during this re-entry webinar. I'm also super grateful to have our incredible leaders with us, taking the time out of their schedules to give us insight on important re-entry matters. Our conversation will cover a lot today, including President's Directive number 22, class structure and office hours, and other frequently asked questions. Without further ado, let's take it away, Josh.
Awesome. So the first question we have is for Vice President Oseguera. So Dr. O, we've heard a lot about the recent vaccine requirement from the CSU's Chancellor's Office and the Cal State Fullerton's President Directive number 22. Could you talk more about the CSU requirement and President Directives 22 and why they are so important?
Thank you. Hi, Josh, and hi, Mary, and to all of our Titans watching, welcome. I'm happy to be here with you today. And on behalf of the Division of Student Affairs, we cannot wait to have you back on campus this semester. So to answer your first question, Josh, about the CSU Office of the Chancellor, they did make an announcement this week stating that all CSU faculty, staff, and students must either be fully immunized or vaccinated or receive an approved exemption before returning to any campus facility at any university location, even if the FDA has not yet changed the status of the vaccines from emergency use to full approval. The dates by which faculty, staff, and students must certify vaccination will vary by campus due to differences in academic calendars, but all certifications must be completed no later than September 30th. So remember that deadline, Titans. September 30th is when we must have either your exemption or your vaccination records. To answer the second part of your question, the President's Directive number 22, nothing like a good President's Directive. And it is Cal State Fullerton's current on-campus policy as directed by President Vigil, outlining COVID-19 mitigation measures and guidelines. Wow, that's a handful, right? But the directive has critical information in it for every single Titan who is returning to campus, including information on vaccines, COVID-19 testing, face coverings, social and physical distancing, which has been phased out actually, and a few more things. So if you hadn't had a chance to look at President's Directive number 22, get yourself over to the website and you can simply Google President's Directive number 22 or President's Directive, and you can see all of the different President's Directives on there and take a look specifically at that one. So, yeah.
Well, thank you for that. And I have a couple more questions if you don't mind.
Of course, not at all. And if it's okay with you, I'd like to also open up the floor to our provost, Dr. Thomas and Dr. Vigil and Dr. Becerra to provide input as well for any follow-ups or anything that I might miss.
Yeah, of course. So the first follow-up I have, I know I've gotten this question a lot. A lot of students are curious about this. You mentioned COVID-19 testing. So how exactly will this work when we return to campus?
Yeah.
So hi, Josh and Mary. I'd like to step in and answer that one if I can. As the director of the health center, our center is providing the COVID testing for the campus. And so here are the basics. First of all, weekly surveillance testing is required for all students and employees who have not been vaccinated and uploaded their vaccine record into our CSUF health portal. And more on that in just a moment. Even students who receive a vaccine exemption must still participate in weekly testing beginning at the very first part of the semester. Surveillance testing will be available once per calendar week, so Monday through Friday, at the CSUF mass testing site that is located just north or just behind Titan Shops. The mass testing site hours are 5 days a week, Monday through Thursday, we're 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. And Friday, we're 8 a.m. from 1 p.m. Students should plan on being at the testing site for approximately 15 minutes. And it's important for students to know that testing is not an excuse to miss class or other critical events on campus. So you want to make sure that you plan accordingly for your testing appointments. Students who have symptoms of COVID-19 can also be tested on campus, but at a different location at our Student Health and Counseling Center through December 31st. We use several different types of tests. We use both a rapid antigen test as well as our Shield T3 saliva tests. To schedule a testing appointment, all Titans should go to the Titans Return website for instructions on scheduling the appointment and what the testing requirements are. Our Dean of Students will also share this information with students, so please check your emails. Lastly, as I mentioned at the beginning, students who upload their vaccine record to the health portal will be exempt from testing. So uploading that record is key. So for more on this, please visit our website at fullerton.edu/upload. I hope that's helpful.
It definitely is. Thank you so much. And I have a follow-up myself. So will face coverings be used on campus when we return?
Mary, that is the question of the day. As of today, the short answer to that is yes and no. So I'm going to hand it over to Dr. Vigil, who will break it down for us in a much better way.
Thank you, Vice President Oseguera, and hi, Josh and Mary and Titans. So to answer your question, I have some information here for you. All the members of the university community, we must comply with the California Department of Public Health guidance for the use of face coverings, which is dated on June 15th, 2021. So that guidance requires that unvaccinated individuals must wear face coverings indoors. Okay, so unvaccinated individuals wear face coverings indoors. Also, unvaccinated individuals do not have to wear coverings indoors when either of these situations arise, right? When you're alone in a room or vehicle, when you're eating and drinking, when an accommodation is required, and or job duties make face coverings infeasible or create a hazard. So face coverings are recommended for unvaccinated individuals outdoors where 6 feet of physical distancing cannot be maintained, okay? Vaccinated individuals who have uploaded their vaccine information on the health portal, which by the way remains confidential, do not have to wear face coverings, okay? The exemptions where Titans can continue to wear face coverings are at the medical centers, like our Student Health Center and our Counseling and Psychological Services, and while waiting in line at the COVID-19 testing center. So the short of it is if you have uploaded your vaccination record and you're vaccinated, then you don't have to wear your face coverings. But if you're unvaccinated and you have sought an exemption, then we are encouraging you to wear your face coverings, okay? I would also like to add and remind anyone that any sort of discrimination, harassment, or retaliation related to wearing a mask or face covering on campus is prohibited, okay? And so anyone may choose to wear face coverings if they're vaccinated or unvaccinated, but we are encouraging unvaccinated individuals to continue to wear that face covering on campus.
Awesome, thank you. And I have another question. So right now, LA County, regardless whether you're vaccinated or not vaccinated, require you to wear your mask indoors. Does this change anything for Titans?
It does not. So our university will continue to adhere with Orange County guidelines. If these guidelines change, then information will be communicated to students through the Dean of Students office. In fact, all major COVID-19 related updates and communication to students will either be on the Titans Return website or communicated to students through the Dean of Students email, and that's deanofstudents@fullerton.edu. So check that, that junk email, or maybe you're not getting our emails. So just double check to make sure that you're getting all of our emails with our updates. So we are Orange County, we are not Los Angeles County, so we will abide by Orange County guidelines.
Sounds good. And just one more quick follow-up before I turn it back to Josh. What about physical distancing and how will that be monitored?
Yeah, so this is exciting news, right? But Vice President Oseguera briefly mentioned this. Physical distancing or barrier requirements, regardless of vaccination status, are no longer mandated per federal, state, and local guidelines. So we will not have those anymore.
Thank you, Mary and Dr. V. So just keep on the same subject. Worst case scenario about President Directive 22, say someone tests positive for COVID-19. I know some students are concerned about potential outbreaks. What do we do? And then what do they do too?
Yeah, that is a good question. So first off, make sure to stay home, right? Self-isolate, follow guidance and recommendations from your healthcare provider, the CDC and the World Health Organization. On the Titans Return website, there is a personal health assessment that lists COVID-19 related symptoms. So students are highly encouraged to review this information daily before coming to campus. So it's a little like there's bullets, a little check mark for yourself before you come to campus to make sure that you're healthy, right? Second, if you or any member of the university community, for that matter, test positive for COVID-19, we strongly encourage that individual report the positive result using the COVID-19 self-reporting form, which is also on the Titans Return website. We also strongly encourage that to do this, if you were in close contact with someone or if you tested positive with someone, that you mention that in that form too. So that form is very important for us to maintain the safety on our campus.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you. I now want to transition to conversations related to the classroom. So these questions will be directed to Provost Thomas. So Provost, I know you've been sitting there for a moment with, so again, we're grateful to have you here today and hopefully get some attention now. The first question I have is this: how do we know if our classes are online, hybrid, or in person? And then what do each of those designations mean?
Thanks, Josh, and thanks, Mary. Thanks for having me here, and hi, students. Yeah, so I think that it's really exciting to be signing up for classes at Cal State Fullerton this fall, because when we planned back last spring, we really wanted to make sure that we were thinking about, what's the best way to teach? And so we actually asked all of our faculty, thinking about the course you're going to teach, which way do you think that it would be good to teach it in the fall? Because we wanted students to have a variety of choices, since we're, coming back to campus, but it's still somewhat new for us. So what will happen when you're registering is you'll see there's 3 different kinds of classes. There's an in-person class, there's an online class, there's hybrid class. When you see in person, that means it's in person. It's like classes used to be before the pandemic, when you came to campus and you went into a room and you sat with people in a classroom at a certain set time every week. Online is the opposite of that, right? Online is online. That class will meet not in person. Hybrid is a class that does both. All the students do the same thing at the same time. Sometimes they're in person on campus in a classroom, and sometimes they're meeting virtually in an online environment. So how do you know which modality, that's our word we use, your courses, which one of those is it? First of all, when you go to sign up for your classes, there are a lot of tips built into that technology system. So, go in, take a look. You're not going to just have to figure it all out for yourself, but just to talk you through it a little bit. So when you go to the scheduled classes and you look under days and times and room for an online course, it will tell you the days and times if that online course is synchronous. And that means that it's something you have to show up for and the whole class shows up together, right? Like not in person, it's online, but there's still a time. There's a day and a time, and you're expected to be there. So it won't say days and times, and will instead just show TBA if that class is asynchronous, meaning that that's a class that you're going to complete the work online at your own pace, but there's not a certain day and time you need to show up online. If the class is hybrid, it will show up on that same schedule of classes, and it will say hybrid under room. And hybrid means that everyone in the class, remember, is doing it together, but sometimes it's in person and sometimes it's online. So you'll see a room number there telling you where the class is being held when it is in person. And if you see TBA listed under days and times along with that time, day, room, location, that means, remember what we were just saying about the online class, that when the class is online, you can complete the work at your own pace. If you don't see TVA, that means when the class is meeting online, it's still meeting at that specific time, and you'll need to show up for that online component that day and time. There's also a kind of class that is fully online, but it has 1 or 2 times when a student needs to go to campus, and that's usually for exams. Don't worry too much about that. That will be explained by your instructor on the first day of class. Of course, don't forget the majority of our classes are in person. So about 65% of our courses are in person, and the faculty are really looking forward to seeing you there in those in-person classes. And you know, in-person classes, when you're looking, are those that don't have anything showing up in that schedule that looks like a technology word, right? It doesn't say web, doesn't say online, doesn't say hybrid. It looks like a class that's just telling you to be there certain day of the week in a certain place. And in fact, it is. So again, there's really easy instructions there to absorb. You know, those instructions can walk you through what your choices are, and don't hesitate to reach out to your advisor if you need some support, especially if the classes that you're looking at have to do with the first and second year students. We have a really great GE advising team.
Thank you. So if students are being asked to stay home when sick, especially for those in-person classes, will faculty be required to change their attendance policy or be more flexible, or provide alternative methods of attendance?
Yeah, so, you know, that's kind of 2 things, right? When a student has to miss class because, you know, maybe they have a cold, keep in mind as a student, for those who are new, who aren't used to the way our classes work, a lot of classes don't take attendance. So if you're going to miss a class for a day or 2, that's something that, you know, you could, that's the normal thing. That's what used to happen, you know, before the pandemic. If students are being asked to stay out because of COVID, then in that case, we will have support for students to access that course material. And students should know that that will be in place for them. But I do want to remind all students that the best thing to do if you're concerned about possibly having positive test, missing class, maybe not being able to be there, the best thing for you to do is to get vaccinated if you're able to.
Yeah, that's great to hear. So one more question, and then I'll pass it off to Mary again. Will the Pollock Library be open for us to study in again?
Yes, the librarians are so excited to have students coming back to the space and studying and using that, and really having that become, I mean, the center of campus again. And there's even some cool renovations that have happened in the library. So I recommend students do go check it out. And they will be open 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, and 7 to 5 on Friday, and 10 to 5 on Saturday. So there's even Saturday on campus study opportunities.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So my next question is, I've heard some conversations online, and I've seen some conversations online about what if a student doesn't want to get vaccinated? Are there any exceptions for students who don't want to get the COVID-19 vaccine?
Yeah, I could take that question. So here's the short of it, right? There's 2 options per the CSU requirement, right? The first option is to receive the COVID vaccine and upload your information, and then you're good. Continue with classes, enjoy your fall. The second option is to request a medical or religious beliefs exemption, right? And with that comes some other things that you must do, which I'll talk about. So like other immunization processes on our campus, anyone who is requesting an exemption should be prepared to provide appropriate documentation. And this will be outlined in the exemption process. Information about the exemptions will be posted on the Titans Return website on Monday, August 2nd, okay? It is important to remember that in addition to the Chancellor's Office requirement, so we have the Chancellor's Office requirement, our campus must also abide by President's Directive number 22, which we talked about a little bit earlier, which states that students who do not upload their vaccine record must participate in weekly testing. So what that means, students with a pending or approved exemption must still participate in weekly testing, okay? So that's the short of it. I hope that helped answer your question about exemptions.
It did, thank you. But on the topic of the President's Directive, so who will be ensuring that faculty and staff and students are abiding by the President's Directive?
Thank you for asking that question, Mary. I think this is where we hope that all of our Titans are committed to everyone's safety, not just their own, but the safety of others as well. So it really is about coming together as a community and to make sure that we hold our individual selves accountable. So if I know I have an exemption for the vaccine and I'm doing my testing and it's recommended that I need to wear a mask and the directive says I need to wear a mask, then I need to do that. I need to step up, hold myself accountable, and do that. Right. And so this is where we have to rely on each other. And we're asking all Titans to make sure that they're honest with themselves, honest with other people, and really abide by the directive. It's for everyone's safety. Barring that, we do have some other measures to hold people accountable. We hope that that's not the case. We really hope that all Titans, faculty, staff, students step up and are honest and work with the community to do it. We do have a system in place. I'm going to let Vincent, as the Dean of Students, talk a little bit more about that since it runs out of that office for students.
Yeah, thank you, Dr. Oseguera. So as outlined in the accountability section of the directive, any student who discriminates, harasses, or retaliates against a member of the university community for wearing or not wearing a face covering, or fails to adhere by the mitigation measures noted in the directive, is subject to disciplinary action under university policies. So per our existing practices, students will be referred to the Dean of Students office or student conduct. But as Dr. O said, let's all do this together. We are all in this together. We are all Titans, and let's hold each other accountable and let's abide by our directive here that we have.
Well, thank you all for your time. I really appreciate your insight. As a student myself, I think it answers a lot of my questions coming back to campus. Seeing that President's Directive 22 is really comprehensive. And I'd like to encourage anyone right now who has not read it to go view it. And you can access that at president.fullerton.edu and read through the entirety of the directive. Again, that is president.fullerton.edu. And then before we close, does anyone have anything else to add?
I'd like to add a couple of things that I always like to remind students about. And so first, if you are going to be one of the students that's driving to campus, make sure to order your parking permit before you get to campus at parking.fullerton.edu. And of course, get to campus early to find parking, although we do have a brand new parking structure. And so you could be the first to officially park in there. And second, I strongly recommend that you conduct a personal health assessment prior to coming to campus every day. It'll just help, I think, for yourself, for your anxiety, to make sure that you're feeling, healthy to come to campus, and making sure that your safety, as well as the safety of others, is first and foremost. And then, of course, we have lots of events to look forward to the first weeks of school, including our, welcome back weeks, both hosted by our orientation programs and housing. It's incredible what we will have for you. Of course, we'll have the infamous info booths with water and lots of goodies and snacks and helpful folks to direct you to campus, because we realize that we have freshmen, our first-time students, and actually our sophomores who also haven't been on campus in a while, who never maybe perhaps made it to campus, and you may not know where some of the building locations are. So we will have lots of really good staff there to direct you and give you some snacks. We'll also have an on-campus movie night that's being hosted by Housing and Residential Engagement. I'm not sure which movie it is, but it's sure to be fun. So I hope that folks can join us. And of course, we have some Titan athletic events to welcome everybody back that are free to students. So we hope that you take the time as a Titan, especially if you're a new Titan, to partake in all of those activities. And I cannot wait for the semester to start. I hope that you are all excited as I am.
And I'll jump in and add, thank you so much, Josh and Mary, for having me here. Thank you, students, for tuning in. I, and along with everybody else, wants to honor the academic journey you've been on. This has not been an easy time. And some of you may still be feeling uneasy and kind of uncertain. And I just want you to know that we're very confident that the plans that we have to keep you safe are great plans. You're in good hands with the team here at Cal State Fullerton, and your faculty are so eager to see you back in whatever modality you're going to be joining us in. I will be in person. We will be in person. Those of us here on this webinar with you, and welcome back.
Thank you, Carolyn. I agree. Welcome back, Titans.
Well, amazing. That does it here today for the student reentry webinar. On behalf of Mary, myself, and everyone else in the room, we can't wait to see you on campus, Titans, in less than a month. Take care and have a great rest of your day. Bye.